Hey friends, it's Iris here with a really awesome story on how I got activated. As many of you know, December 21st was a very important day. It was the planetary conjunction, and that meant that there was also going to be a solar flare, and that meant that it was going to be an amazing, beautiful day to but you see, it's not just that day, but yes, it's an amazing, beautiful day to awaken yourself. Another round of mass awakenings were going to happen within the entire planet. Our planet is raising in frequencies, which means more self-awareness, more self-love, more truth coming out, more secrets being revealed, not just on a bigger scale, but in a personal scale. And therefore, I just want to tell you my personal story on how I got activated. I actually got activated the day before the December 21st, so the 20th, and it was an amazing and crazy fun story. And so grab your coffee and let's get started. Hey guys, I'm so happy to talk to you. Welcome. I hope you have your coffee and I hope you have your wine, whatever it is that can help you just relax and enjoy this story, because I think a lot of people will get something important out of it. Disclaimer, this story is very personal to me. These are things that, I don't know, I think it's a pretty wild story, and I believe that it will clear some stigmas about things. So yeah, and it was just so beautiful how the universe surprised me. The universe has always a way of surprising you, and it's so much fun when it's your turn, right? When it happens. The way that it happened, it kind of all started a few days prior. So I got activated on December 20th. I feel like Santa came in early. And it was just a very magical experience, and I want to share with you guys that experience. And a few days ago, God had asked me to not drink any alcohol. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, but I like to have beer. Every so often I drink alcohol, but it's just, it's okay. I think I'm fine. I have a couple drinks a week, maybe, sometimes not. So the point is that they wanted me to purify. Also, I started fasting, so basically just eating once a day. For me, that's fasting. and just eating very light foods as well. What else? I also come from a microdosing background. I started microdosing and initiating myself with spirit through shrooms. Mind you, these are experiences that came to me. I wasn't the one looking for them. So when you are ready to be initiated, there's different ways of being initiated as well, and it's not all done through shrooms or ayahuasca. However, for me, it came through shrooms. I don't do that anymore, or at least just not for now. I haven't done that in months, but I did went into microdosing on THC, on marijuana, whether it was just very small amounts or the pen. And that in and of itself is not recreational for me. Marijuana is not recreational for me. For me, it's more of a mystical experience, to be honest, because it awakens a lot of my senses. I go into a trance, kind of. So I had been microdosing on that for some time, but I haven't been doing that at all. So in other words, complete purification. So a few days ago, God asked me, please, just don't drink any alcohol for the next few days. I was like, okay, no problem. And just went about my business. I think the day before, December 19th, I went to a river.
Tell me how much you love it. Eso!
And I had so much fun with my dog, and I started seeing these beautiful lights being captured in the camera, and I know those were light beings. It was just so beautiful. Yeah, it was very mystical, and I had the most amazing time. I'm feeling like super I'm having all kinds of really yummy feelings right now as I'm talking, so that's just them trans channeling through me in a very light way and supporting this conversation, supporting this story. But I didn't think much of it as I was seeing these beautiful photos of me capturing lights and light beings and things like that. I really did not think much of it. I was just happy that I was capturing this. Also, I've been connecting a lot with the fairies. I can see fairies now with my eyes, and they've been coming to me. I've been going through other initiations, reading this book called The Sophia Code now, and it's all about just deeper initiations with the feminine Christ. So just giving you guys a baseline background. In other words, I did not think that I was gonna have this beautiful activation on December 20th or December 21st, because I have already been going through all these other initiations, and my life was just pretty magical. My life is magical. And that's it. So I just go about my business on December 20th, which is Sunday, and I just go to the beach with Chloe, and immediately Chloe goes up to a man, and she starts to play in the beach with this gentleman, and he begins to play with her, and he says hello to me. People in Costa Rica are very, very friendly. They're very warm. They say hello to you so easily, which is something that I absolutely love, something I'm not used to, but I'm getting used to it here. And I see that Chloe is so open to just play with him. So I'm like, cool, you know, Chloe tells me who to talk to and who not to talk to. So obviously I'm trusting Chloe 100%. She's my service dog, my guide, my everything. And so I trust her 100%. And she's saved me from danger, a lot of danger. I have another story for that, but yeah, so in other words, I've come to trust my dog very much. So I didn't think anything of it. He's just playing with her. And then he has a bunch of friends that they were all hanging out, and some of his friends start to come over and say hello, and it's just a group of guys, and they're like, how are you? You know, how's your day? And, you know, are you from here? And I said, no, I'm not from here. I'm just hanging out. And they're like, oh, awesome. There's not many people at the beach, and we just say hello, and they start playing with Chloe even more, and they were super respectful, super awesome people. I felt very good vibes. No big deal. We just started talking about a lot of different things, and they asked me if I smoke marijuana, if I smoke weed. And because, you know, they're just hanging out and they have a little bit of weed and whatever, and I'm already thinking like, oh boy, like, first of all, I like weed, but at the same time I'm like, but weed is not that recreational for me. Weed activates me. So I'm just kind of thinking like, I'm like, yeah, I smoke a little bit of weed. I'm not really a smoker. And they're like, oh great, you know, we have some, we can share with you, and this and that, and we're all just laying out at the beach, and and I said, sure, but if I get a little weird, you know, just don't mind me. I'm just probably gonna go inside the water, and don't mind me. And they just kind of laugh about it, and they're like, okay, cool, no problem. And so then one of the guys comes, and he brings like a bag of weed like this, and he has like all these different kinds of weed, and then he's like showing me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And one of them was actually from Miami, and they were all here like a boys, you know, getaway weekend from different parts of Costa Rica, and this one guy from Miami, but he's also from Costa Rica, and it was his birthday. So they're like in party mode, and but super nice, and they start rolling up a joint, and so they start passing the joint, and I must have taken like 2 hits of that joint. And after, you know, we were just talking. It was very natural. It was just super friendly. I'm sure you guys have gone through experiences like that people are just friendly, you pass a joint and you keep talking. They must have passed it like twice, And in other words, there was still like a lot of the joint left. And all of a sudden we hear, hey, the cops are coming. Like there's somebody coming. But we didn't see anything. We couldn't see them. Mind you, it's in like an open space. There is like some hills, like, but you couldn't really see them and stuff. They're talking in Spanish, and my Spanish is good, but I'm new to this. I don't know what's going on in a way. I want to give them the chance to take action. But already in my mind, I was thinking, you need to hide this, because obviously it's weed. You can't smoke weed here like that. But I don't know. I was just so innocent about this whole situation. And we didn't see anybody. Like, you couldn't really see them. But there was a little hill, and after the hill, they came. And it was like this cart with, it wasn't like the cops. It was the military. Right. And they just came and they started like driving around. And obviously it was like a group of us. So they came to that group. They approached us. I was already feeling kind of uncomfortable, and pretty much very uncomfortable, because this guy had a bag of weed this big. And I'm thinking like, fuck, you know? And they came, and the guy just kind of puts his weed to the side right here. Obviously, the military guy is going to ask him, like, what is that? And I'm already like, oh my God. I'm already like, oh my God, what an uncomfortable situation. And all these thoughts come to mind, like, holy crap, you know, I'm in a foreign country. Like, marijuana here is illegal. I noticed that people do smoke marijuana here, but it's still illegal. What the hell have I gotten myself into, kind of thing. And I barely know these people, and I'm just kind of scratching my head, and I'm trying to stay calm. By that time, the guy obviously like takes the bag out, and it's the weed. The military guy was very polite, but just, and confiscates his weed. And then they start asking him all kinds of questions, and you know, they start asking him for identification. And the guy's like, oh, I don't have identification with me right now. And then, you know, the military is like, well, I need somebody's identification, because if not, everybody's gonna go to jail. I'm just like, what? By that time, I didn't even know what to think. And so then they're like, okay, hold on, you know. He's like, yeah, somebody has to be responsible for this, or else everybody's gonna go to jail. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I just let them do their thing, and party's over, basically. And they go up to their car, like it's all kind of in the distance. Then the military people start to walk with him, and a couple of the guys go over there. Two of the guys go here, because it was like a group of 3, 4 maybe. And they start to there's another group, there's a couple more people by the car. So it was like a group of like 6, maybe 5, 6. And they start to talk to the military people there. And I'm looking like, and by that time I'm not freaking out so much. Like, I'm already like, okay, they're taking care of it. A couple of the military people stay with us, and then they start searching my stuff. And then the other guys tell them, no, she's not really with us. We just met her here. And I was like, I just got here. They start searching throughout all my things, and obviously they didn't find anything. I don't have anything. And by that time, I was kind of about to go into trauma response, which means my body was getting very tense, and my jaw was about to lock. You lose your voice at that time. But I started telling myself, no, you have nothing to hide. Everything's gonna be okay. At that time, I think my dog sensed my tension. So my dog comes up to me, and she starts to just stand by me. And she gives me the signal that everything's gonna be okay, that I'm in the clear. And all I have to do is just calm down. And I can see that through my dog's behavior, through the signs that my dog is giving me. So by that time I was beginning to calm down because Chloe's calming me down, and then she goes up to the military people and she kind of tries to just befriend them. She's amazing. And the military people are not having it. They're just kind of looking at her like, okay, cute dog, but all right. Then the military people leave me alone and leave the two guys that stayed with me. They leave they leave us alone, and they walk towards the other group, and they start talking to them, asking them questions. Who knows? However, where it gets more intense for me was that I didn't know, and one of the guys tells me that they're like, oh, I hope they don't find the cocaine that is in the car. And I'm just like, what? And they're like, yeah, we have cocaine in the car, and you know, I hope they have enough time to have hidden the cocaine. And I'm just like, oh my God, like that's really not good. Okay, because one thing is to have an herb, another thing is to have a completely illegal drug in possession. And obviously I'm trying not to judge anybody. You know, I come from a place of love, and no, like this is not the time to judge people, freak out or anything like that. So but at the same time I'm just like, oh my God, I could really go to jail for this, or they can really go to jail, like, you know, like it's really bad. And they were all like, oh yeah, you know, we have a lot of cocaine, they said. We have, like, I heard, I don't know much about, you know, amounts, but I think they said that they had like 40 grams of cocaine or 4 grams of cocaine. I don't know, but they said that they had a big ball like that in the car. And I'm just like, I was like, oh my God, all these people are gonna go to jail. And then I'm thinking like, oh my God, maybe I'm gonna go to jail because I'm with them. And I'm just like, but then I was like, no, this can't be. And I was like, no, Chloe just told me that everything's gonna be okay with me. So I need to hold on to that idea. I need to hold on to that I'm okay. But then, you know, and then all of a sudden I start going into like inward. I start going inward. And I'm like, wait a second, this is all happening for a reason. This is all orchestrated for a reason, for a moment. But at the same time, I feel really bad for them. That's really not good. And this is not about, you know, judging anybody once again. If anything, it was just a weird moment. And I'm thinking like, why did I attract this? Why am I here? What's going on here? So then they're there for a while, and a while passes, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then the main guy comes back. And he comes back, and I could tell that he's like sad, you know, and he's kind of like kicking the sand, like, oh, you know, he comes back. And I'm here like, oh my God, he must be so heartbroken. You know, I asked one of the other guys, I'm like, do you know if you guys hit it well? And the guy's like, yeah, I know we hit it well. It's very hidden, and they can't, you know. At the same time, they didn't even think that they were gonna get searched, but they got searched. So I'm here like in suspense, like, what happened, you know? And he's like, no, man, they took everything, man. And then he was like, you know what? It was very nice to meet you. I'm so sorry that this happened. And there was a part of me that I felt guilty for this. I just felt guilty. I was like, I don't know, you know. And I feel like everybody felt guilty, you know. And then I asked him. I was like, I'm like, okay, but what about the blow? You know, did they take away your blow? And they're like, yeah, they confiscated all of it. They confiscated everything. That's when my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, these guys, are they gonna get arrested? Are they all gonna get arrested, God? You know, what is going on? And I'm like, who am I, you know, who are these people? Turns out that they're all actually professionals out there to just have a birthday weekend full of partying. And because I was like, I'm like, am I hanging out with drug dealers or whatever? And turns out that they're all professionals, and you know, they were just being naughty boys. But I see that they're not getting arrested. they're all confiscating everything. I guess, you know, they took down their information. But what happens with the military here in Costa Rica and the police in general in Costa Rica is that, you know, you bribe them a little bit and you get let go. So they basically just took away all their party supplies and they ended up leaving. Yeah. That's it. That was the end of that. And all those guys were totally heartbroken and they did not want to continue staying at the beach. They obviously wanted to go back to their hotel room and just hang out. I'm still trying to understand, you know, what is going on here. By this time, I'm feeling the marijuana a little bit, but not so much. I barely smoked. But at the same time, I took that as an opportunity because I was like, okay, I can connect, you know, I can ding, 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 you know. At that time, it wasn't really the right time. But here's another thing that happened. Before they left, the two guys that were keeping me company and they were talking to me, they started telling me, well, why don't you come with us? Why don't you come with us? We have more marijuana in the house and we have more blow in the house. And blow is cocaine. It's a nice word for calling it cocaine. And, you know, come with us. You know, you can come and party with us and hang out and whatever. You know, it seemed really cool. Bring your dog. And they told me where they were staying. And I was like, you know, there was a part of me that I felt tempted because I like to party. I wanted to hang out and I wanted to be social. However, obviously, I did not want to be social in a setting where there was cocaine, and especially in a setting with what just happened right now. But there was a part of myself that was a little tempted, and then I start hearing inside myself very clearly, no. And even when I hear a no clearly from the universe, also my neck turns to the left. And the guy's talking yada 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 yada, you know, trying to convince me to come. And I ask myself, I'm like, is this the right thing to do? And my neck immediately turns left. No. And I'm just like, okay. And the guy keeps talking and yada yada yada, and he's proposing this amazing thing, and I'm just like, look, you know, where you guys are staying is pretty far. You know, I don't have a way of getting back. And they're like, don't worry, we'll drive you back, everything's gonna be all right, you know, just come hang out with us. You know, they took away our party supplies here, but we can get more party supplies, and you know, just come hang out. And I'm just like, ugh. And the thing is, guys, here's the test for me. The test for me, because I literally went through a graduation. The test for me wasn't so much about smoking weed. Actually, that was not it at all. The test for me was actually being in an environment where there is cocaine. Because I come from the party environment where there was cocaine. And I was never really a big user of cocaine. I was never a big user. But I did do it a little bit, and because I always did a little bit, right? I would justify it. I would justify doing that little bit, and I would be like, well, it's just a little bit. It's okay, you know, get a little high, you know. But guess what? God had asked me to stay clean and stay sober, and so. Putting myself through, I don't really consider marijuana necessarily, at least in the way that it works on me, a drug per se. So I didn't feel that penalty or that pull, like you shouldn't have done that. This is what we told you not to do. You know, I didn't feel that. I didn't get that, but I was getting that from the cocaine use. You know, and also there was going to be alcohol and things like that. Things that, you know, God had already told me to stay away from. And yet I was being tempted. Like I could feel my body being tempted to say yes. And I was beginning to already make up stories like, okay, well, you know, if I go there, I don't, obviously I'm not a big user of anything, and that is the justification. I'm not a big user of anything, so, you know, maybe I can, maybe, and then but you know, I clearly got the sign that it was a no. So I'm here trying to be like, okay, so how do I tell these people? So then I was like, okay, mind you, these are brief moments in your mind. This is not like I took half an hour to think about it. These are just all brief moments in my mind. And then I'm thinking like, well, how do I tell these people in a respectful way that I can't go, that I'm, you know, so I'm just like, you know what, I thank you so much, but it's just not a good time for me to go right now to be hanging out. And and then so, but you know, they kept insisting. They're like, oh, but you know, you don't have to do any of these things if you don't want to do any of these things. You know, we just want to hang out, and you're so pretty, and you're so this, you're so that, and it was so much fun. And I was like, yeah, you know, but I understand, but thank you so much. It's just not a good time for me to expose myself to these things. And the guy's like, well, you don't have to do these things. You can just drink with us a little bit, this and that. And he's like, there's a lot of guys here. We could really use just having a girl around. And, you know, and I'm just like, and I was like, thank you. But the thing is that if I put myself in that situation, I'm gonna want to do cocaine. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself in that situation. I was brutally honest. And the guy's like, well, it's okay, you know, we're still gonna get more, and there's always gonna be more, and this and that. Basically, I realized that he was luring me into going with them, and very tactfully, very nicely, right? But I realized that I was being lured into something, and I just said, no, thank you. You know, it's no good. And I said, but you know what? Let me take down your number, and maybe we can just hang out another time. It's just right now, I really need to be clean. I really need to stay clean. And you know, I used to party, I used to do drugs. And first of all, I've never gotten caught doing drugs. And just by the fact that the military came here, that's already a sign for me that I shouldn't be doing this. So, but, you know, I'll take down your number and we'll hang out another time. Okay, awesome, whatever. And that's it, you know. We left it at that. So, they ended up leaving, and I ended up staying by the beach by myself, hanging out with Chloe, just being myself. By that time, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was fine. Everything was good. I start walking, and the sun is out, and it's just so delicious. And I connect with the sun, obviously. And of course, I'm a little bit high from the weed. I can start feeling that I'm about to channel. I start, like, everything just raises up. And I'm here like, yes, at least I want to get to talk to you guys for a little bit. And it's not a lot, you know, but I was like, it's okay. It's just a little bit, and I'm cool with it. And they're like, and then I can start hearing, you know, and they're like, yes. And then I'm here thinking like, I'm like, did you guys just orchestrate all this so I can connect with you guys? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, and this was a lesson for them too. And they say, yes. And I'm like, what was the lesson for them? Because I can tell that they're not bad people. Like, I could really tell. I mean, yeah, they weren't criminals and things like that. I can see people's energy fields, and those are not what I was getting. Maybe from one of them, but that's it. And they're like, yeah, well, they need to learn not to be so showy. And then they told me a couple of the things that they needed to learn. And then they're like, oh, it's just a nice little lesson for them. Because they didn't get arrested or anything. If anything, the military had a party after that. So I was like, oh. Because what happens is that the universe orchestrates moments of danger, but nothing really ends up really happening at the end. And it's not just because you got saved by God or whatever. God does save you. But it's not necessarily about being saved. It's about learning how to make choices, and also teaching you lessons. So I'm just like, oh, wow. Okay. Hey, Chloe, you want to come here? Hi. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool, you know? And I was like, hey, and I just took enough weed so I can connect with you. And now I'm free. And they're like, yep, that's it. And I was like, oh my God, how cool. So I was like, okay, cool, you know. So I'm like all giddy, and I'm walking down the beach, and I'm, you know, starting to see the sunset, and I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful. And then I started realizing that I was also going under a test, because, guys, this is the most important part for me, because not only were they luring me into hanging out with them and doing drugs, it was also because a few days, like maybe honestly the day before, I had gone through a very personal healing where I was able to release the connection between doing cocaine as a form of partying and my unfortunate experience of being molested as a child when I think I was like 3 or 4 years old. Somehow those two things, my molestation and partying, I made it some form of connection, thinking that it was okay. My inner part, an inner part of myself thought that it was, I couldn't see what was wrong with it, but that it was because I was still operating from a childlike perspective. Because when we are children, and especially if you don't receive the proper love and somebody molests you, somebody touches you in an inappropriate way, as a child, especially if you're a very small child, you don't understand the right or wrong for that. You don't understand because your parents didn't teach you, honey, don't let people touch you a certain way. And especially if you're starving for love, if you're starting for a caress and physical touch, which we all are. We are physical, we are sensible beings. So when it came to drugs and when it came to especially cocaine, I will explain right now the structure of cocaine so you can understand better. I make that connection. And the day before, I had, which is why God asked me to not do any alcohol, and obviously I wasn't doing drugs. I hadn't done cocaine in a long time, in a while, so it wasn't in my mind to do anything like that. But alcohol is still a toxin, is still a drug in and of itself. And then I was fasting. When you clear yourself and you fast of these things, you can access deeper levels of your consciousness, of your mind. So I was able, through the fasting, access that connection. I was able to access that connection, and I was able to forgive it and talk to my inner child and give the proper learning to my inner child and tell her, listen, I understand that you were touched when you were little and you couldn't understand why it was wrong because you were told later that it was wrong. You couldn't understand it, but I'm telling you, baby, you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to receive this type of love in this way anymore. You don't, and as a kid, this is the type of love that you receive, okay, sweetheart? So it was really awesome how I was able to go into like a deep meditation and tell that to my inner child, and then I was able to forgive instead of reprimand, like, oh, don't do that, that's terrible. You see, that creates shame, and that layer of shame keeps us addicted to things that are not good for us, like cocaine. And so I wasn't necessarily addicted to cocaine, but somehow I thought that it was okay in small amounts. I used to think that it was okay. And so I was able to forgive and break that connection. So guess what that was? The whole military thing the next day. It was a test, and it was a graduation. Because now I was able to build a healthy boundary between, oh no, oh no, that this is not good for me. And God had personally asked me to stay away from heavy toxins, because that's what cocaine is. Cocaine, even though we live in a world of choices, and even then, God will not penalize me if I decide to do cocaine again. I already got that signal that it's like, no, I will not penalize you. But I need you to know and understand what exactly you're putting inside your body. And what happens is that cocaine is a very high toxin, just like crystal meth is a very high toxin. Some people are like, oh, I like cocaine, but crystal meth, ew. Well, let me tell you, honey, they're both designer drugs, and they're both made in a very unethical way. So these are very high toxins. So these are not ways that you want to love your body. And right now, if you really want to awaken, we have to really learn to love our bodies, not just through eating healthy foods, but just understanding what it is that we're putting inside ourselves. And even exercise. I used to kill myself exercising. I don't even exercise at all. I don't like it. So I don't exercise at all. I dance. So coming back to this, it was a test. It was a test for me to understand that I don't need to make those decisions anymore. And it was also learning how to have a healthy boundary with myself. When we have healthy boundaries with your bodies and yourself, it also helps you with making more money. Yes, having healthy boundaries with yourself also helps you have healthy boundaries with money and with spending, because you're not spending on things that you're not supposed to be spending on. Doesn't matter what it is. People, right? Sometimes we spend money on people that we shouldn't be spending on, our boyfriends that are taking advantage of us, you know? So yeah, for me, that was an amazing test. And I was like, oh my God, so you're saying that I passed the test? And they're like, yes, you passed the test. And I was like, ah! I was like super happy. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And because I felt so good, and I'm connecting with this thing that is above me, I was just happy and just walking along the beach, and I see this rock, and I grab this rock and I begin to hold it, and I just loved the rock so much. It was just a regular rock. I showed it in my last video what is it called? In my last video, the how to activate yourself, because Spirit asked me to make that video. So I grab this rock and I begin to hold it, and I start to pray on it, and I start to activate it, and I begin to just recite these words. And I said, you know what, rock, I really like you, and you know what, I'm gonna activate you with love, and I'm gonna activate you for serenity, for love, for forgiveness, and for awareness. And I just began to, hold the rock up, and I said a few things. I wrote it down more. If you want to do this, I wrote it down in my activation video, so I highly suggest you make that activation video. Good morning. And so I held the rock up, and as I'm holding the rock up, all this amazing energy starts to come from above, and especially from the sun. And I can see myself being blessed with all this loving energy, and especially for me was the red colored energy. And for me, that is obviously not just for me, but for everyone, that is the root chakra color. And what I realized is that I was fully healing and restoring the strength of my root chakra. Mind you, our child molestation and childhood sexual trauma is what debilitates our root chakra, and that creates so many problems in our lives, to be honest. So many disbalances, especially with money and love. Money and love really go hand in hand, guys. People say no, it's separate. No, absolutely not. And especially right now, especially in my business that is a heart-centered business, no way not at all. So I felt so just blessed and divinely loved by God and this energy, and I could see all this beautiful, I don't know, just beautiful loving light just blessing me and stabilizing me, and I just felt so strong. And I heard this beautiful, my foot is getting sorry, my foot is getting it's falling asleep. And I heard all these beautiful things, but one of the main things that I heard was this angelic voice, but almost like robotic angelic voice, that said something like, congratulations, you accessed a new level. I was like, wow, you know. And I was like, and then they said, a more abundance is coming your way. I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I just felt so good and so loved, and it was just super divine, guys. It was just this amazing, beautiful energy. And before, when my senses weren't so heightened, I would have to visualize that energy. Now I don't have to visualize that energy. I can see it, I can breathe it. It was a bath of love. It was a bath of light. And that's when I realized, oh my God. And all of my body just started to just say, yes, yes, you did it. You know, congratulations. I was, wow, it was just amazing. It was all kinds of amazing. And I just stayed there and I gave all the thanks and all the love, just feeling the water. I was letting the water just, you know, brush against my feet and clean my feet. And I was just giving so many thanks, and I was just so happy. And so after that, I was tested one more time. Chloe's like, I was tested one more time. Oh my God. And for this one, you guys have to stay very open-minded, very compassionate, because if I can do it, you can do it. I was tested one more time, guys, because as soon as I put that rock down, I got out of the meditative state that I was, and I just felt all kinds of goodness. I looked over to my left, and I saw this young guy approaching me. And I saw this young guy approaching me, and I realized that I was gonna meet with him, and we were just gonna hang out. And he was a local from here, and he just kind of wanted to show me around and hang out. I told him, sure, you know, meet me at 4, sorry. And it was already like 4 something, and he was coming my way. So then I just kind of stepped back from the beach and I sat down in the sand, and he's like, hey, how are you? You know, and super cool, super nice. And immediately I start noticing that something was off. At first I didn't think much of it. I can see that I'm like, well, he's probably nervous. You know, I am a pretty girl. I'm in an area where there's not a lot of women. There's not a lot of people. If there's like 1,000 people is a lot. It's a very, very rural area. It is paradise. It is beautiful. The vibes are super high here, and I absolutely love it. I am so in love, and I have so much to be thankful for just by being here. I've been able to access super high levels of divine love. I'm thinking, you know, he's nervous. He's nervous. He's not really looking at me in the eyes so much. He's sitting next to me, and, you know, trying to make conversation. Hello, you know, and it's kind of a little bit innocent. So I just kind of go along with it, and I was like, okay, you know. But I'm already getting bored. I just noticed that he has a hard time communicating. He couldn't find the words. So what happens when people, and right now I'm gonna specify men, and this is not all men, this is just men that have hard time communicating. So what happens is that when men have a hard time communicating and they want something out of you, I noticed that he started touching me, and he just touched me, and we're in kind of close proximity to each other, and that is not okay. That is still breaking a boundary for me. And the conversation kind of turns boring, and I'm already kind of feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And then I start to tell God, get me out of here. Can you make him go away? And I hear the words, you got it. It is done. Okay. So I keep on going with the conversation, and I don't see him leaving. And I'm just here thinking like, okay, like he's not leaving, you know. And I'm just like, God, come up with something. And then, and I hear again, it is done. And I'm just like, okay. And at the same time, I feel like he's looking at me like, like you're very pretty and I want to eat you, basically. He's looking at me with a, you know, yeah, with a predator type of look. I'm already like, oh, it's over type of thing. And you know what? Many times we believe that we want like divine intervention. We want, you know, a lightning to strike. We want something to happen so the person can leave. And that's kind of what I was looking for in a way. But I realized I am the creator. And my head moves to the right. Yes, you are the creator. I am the creator, and I have to be honest. I have to walk the path of honesty. So I said to him, I was like, listen, I can tell that the way that you're looking at me is just not the way that I want to be looked at. And I can tell that that's just not the way that I feel that for you. And then he's just kind of like, oh, like I put him in the spot type of thing. And I was like, yeah. Around the same time, he asked me if I wanted to go for a hike, to go to, I think it was even after. He's like, well, do you want to go for a hike? There's some cascades over there. There's a forest nearby. And I was like, no. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What the hell am I going to do with a stranger who's looking at me like he wants to eat me? No. So, the way he was talking to me, it was very interesting. The way he was talking to me, he was talking to me as if I was a child. He wasn't respecting the fact that I'm a woman. And also he was just trying to find ways of touching me. Like he did like the high five and go like this. Men, don't do that. Women, if a man does a high five and you just met him and go like this, stay away from that person. That person is a predator. And I was already like, what are you doing? That's when I got the idea of, you know what? It was already getting awkward. And I was like, you know what? I started feeling like sensations in my lower stomach, and as if I wanted to fart, honestly. So we usually stay quiet with those sensations. And I said, you know what? I want to fart. No, I'm kidding. I didn't say that. I said, you know what? I'm getting hungry. And he's like, you're hungry already? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting hungry. So I think I'm going to leave in a little bit. And why don't we, like, you know, hang out some other time? You know, there's this other area that we can hike to. I could tell he didn't want to do that. So yeah, just, you know, you can text me on Tuesday and we'll figure it out from there. But I just want to hang out here by myself right now before I leave, because I want to leave. I'm hungry. And he's like, oh, okay. He had said something about like, oh, can I steal a kiss from you? Steal? The keyword, steal a kiss? No, you can't. And I was like, no. I wasn't mean. I wasn't like, no, you can't, like what I'm doing right now. But I was like, because you guys, you have to be tactful too. This is a man that probably has more power than I do. So you have to be respectful to this person. And I was like, no, you can't. And he's like, oh no. It's like, no. That's, a gentleman wouldn't do that. Gentlemen don't do that. So no. So, and I was like, okay, well, bye. You have to go now. And he's like, okay. And he gets up and he leaves. And I'm just here like, oh. The whole situation was honestly about 20 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. And I noticed that Chloe was making him uncomfortable as well. She did a few things to make him uncomfortable, like stepping on him. And the way that she was laying on him was in a way that was saying, you know, like I can read Chloe very well. So needless to say that I felt relieved, and needless to say that I felt I was back to my happy. And then I asked God, God, what was that about? And then God told me, he's a rapist. This man was planning to rape you. And I was like, I know. I can feel it. I just want to say something though, that you see, it was very interesting because I was actually able to get inside his mind. And what I realized is not so much that he wanted to rape me, even though those were his intentions. is that he didn't know how to communicate that he wanted love and affection and closeness. And this is where we need to let go of the judgment and the stigma of rape and men that rape. Even though it's very hard to do that, we have a stigma of we want to hate on that person, but God clearly asked me not to hate on him and to forgive him. Chloe's too funny, because I saw that he had the mind of a child. I saw that he had the mind of a desperate child. And rape is also a demonic possession that is overtaken by someone's lack of love, and in this world, in this earthly existence, is a is a mental illness. Therefore, this man is mentally ill. And God also revealed to me that the reason that he was talking to me as if I was a child is because he has raped children in the past. Look at my head going down. Yes. He has raped children in the past. When I found out these things, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was appalled. I was disgusted. I was angry at the same time. I don't get very angry, but I was angry. The injustice, you know. Later that night, I really needed to do forgiveness on this man because I can see the energetic cords of people and things that are connected to me in some way. And I needed to see him with compassion, and I needed to see him with love, with the eyes of God, because he is a child of God. He believes that he's forgotten by God, but he's a child of God. And I needed to go into that space and forgive him. And I needed to go into his consciousness and ask him to please stay away from children and to please find help in some form of way and see his own truth. And these are some of the dangerous situations that God puts me in every once in a while, because I need to find compassion in people, and I need to heal myself from also my own childhood experiences. But it's not just about my own childhood experiences, it's about serving the world. And as I've mentioned before, I can see the crime in people. And if I want to serve the world and serve God and serve myself and be abundant with myself, I cannot judge people. I have to see their hearts, and I have to see their mental illness. And all of us have committed crimes at one point or another. We have all done things that are illegal, and we have all done things that are immoral. Therefore, I can see the consciousness of a lot of people, of all of us. And if I want to help people, I can't judge them. So those were two major tests for me that I passed. And I am so happy. I'm so happy. I have so much compassion for people that commit crimes. So much compassion, because it's not really their true self. It's something else that is working through them, that is making them do these things. And they are just starving children for love. And they don't know how to attain it. Therefore, they steal it from others. They steal the energy, they steal the money, they steal the circumstance from people. And that's how it turns into a chain, because hurt people hurt people. And I have another story for you. You know, I will talk about this from the point that I almost got kidnapped. I almost got kidnapped before I came to Costa Rica, before I left the United States. And I was 3 seconds from it. And it was an amazing experience for me. I will never forget. I'm still healing from it. I'm still healing from that. It was traumatic, nonetheless. But you know, I know I am protected. I know I am saved, and this is part of serving the world. And I feel very much at peace. And so, God and my helpers have revealed to me, you know, what is next for me in this journey, and it's a beautiful next chapter. I don't want to say it, not yet, but it's a beautiful next chapter, and I can't wait. Definitely more abundance coming my way, and more ways of helping people heal. I highly suggest, guys, for you to do that exercise on DNA activation. I think, once again, I really truly believe it's going to help you activate your DNA in ways that you cannot even imagine. I really, really, truly believe that. I love you all. You guys are all children of God. No matter what you have done, we are all children of God. Because I know I have done things that I'm not proud of. And it's all possible. Anything is possible. It's possible to forgive, erase, elevate, activate, see fairies, see angels. I'm starting to see angels now with my eyes, not with my third eye. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's possible to make beautiful, clean money. You don't have to steal from other people. You don't have to lie to make money. It's a really beautiful thing. And that's all, folks. I love you all. Bye. Oh, don't forget to like this video. I always forget. Why is that? It's because it's not even that. Is it because it's not even that, how do you say it? Important or something? Yeah. People will like it on their own way. That was me trans channeling. I love it. Okay, guys. Love you. Bye.